So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Rahim Gulamali back with another My Two Cents. This week I have a co-host, Tom Carnewal. Tom is a really good friend of mine. I've been working with him for, I think, the past 6-7 years. And he is someone who has a special view on what digitalization and actually running digital programs mean for organizations. Tom, welcome.
Hi, Rahim. Thanks for having me.
No worries, no worries. Hey, can you tell the people a little bit about yourself, what you do, what are you going to talk about today?
Um, pretty much the last of the past 20 years, I have been helping organizations dealing with digital transformation or digital transformation issues. And as we speak today, I am the director of digital transformation at Dun & Bradstreet Altaris, where together with our team, we are leading this organization towards the day after tomorrow. So that's pretty much what I'm doing today. What are we going to talk about? Well, actually, what I would like to have a little word on with you is um, what digital transformation is and what it is not, and why people think they are doing it, and why people are failing in doing it, and what the consequences of that are. In a
I think
nutshell.
it's a great topic because we tend to put everything lately under digital transformation, even if it's upgrading our Office 365 product as a digital transformation. But I agree with you. There is a massive distinction between what actually is digital transformation and what it means for an organization and
Mhm.
what it's not. Um, what is your view on it? You mentioned in your introduction, what is digital transformation? What would be, to set up the baseline for this chat, what is for you digital transformation?
It's good that you mention it. That people seem to consider basically pretty much everything as digital transformation as soon as it touches technology, right? In the digital helix, you will see that pretty much most of the Fortune 2000 companies, so that's a lot of companies,
Mhm.
all consider themselves as working on digital transformation in one way or another. Now, I think it is easier to define what is not digital transformation, right? If you are just digitalizing, digitalizing the past to the present, digitalizing what you used to do on paper without transforming, that is not digital transformation. So if the only thing you are doing is having your people today having their meetings through Microsoft Teams instead of having it in a physical meeting room without changing the way you meet and how you meet, that is not digital transformation. You just digitalized your meeting. That's all you did. And to make it even worse, if you start digitalizing and you keep on using your techniques from the past in the present or in the future, it will probably even have a negative effect. So, bottom line, if the only thing you do is digitalizing and you do not transform your organization, you do not transform the purpose of your organization, the processes within your organization, it's not much of a digital transformation. In the best case, it's a software upgrade, or digitalizing what you used to do on paper. And that is a big mistake that a lot of organizations make, because
Yeah.
they think by just freeing up a huge bucket of money to buy a new SaaS platform, or to get an expensive consultant in there to implement a piece of software, that is digital transformation. Well, it is not. It is not.
No, I think you're right. Digital transformation goes much further in towards the organization. It touches, of course, your processes. Let me put something forward. So, in a lot of transformations I got involved in, we if you look at the scoping sessions of the digital transformation, we had a new vision, we want to have a new system, we want to automate stuff, we want to
Mhm.
whatever. It's all generally, when I look at failing digitalization, we're looking at implementing a digital tool to do something we did manually,
Mhm.
implementing a digital process, not even a digital process, but a digital way of working through a process which has been there for years. Now, for me, digital transformation is not scoping what you have, is scoping what experience you want to achieve in the market today. And let me explain a little bit the difference. And now I really want to have you take on that because I think you have a really good background to discussing on specific the topic. You have a, let's say, you have a finance team. They have the
Mhm.
processes on revenue recognition. They have all the Excel sheets they are using on a day-to-day basis because they're extracting data from 20, 30 different systems. When you talk to a general finance team on their requirements for the new solution they're implementing, they're defining, they will give you 20 Excels, basically, and all the manual stuff they're doing on a day to day basis. If you then ask them, what is the ultimate experience you want to achieve in the future? What is the experience you want to give your clients in the future? It's different thinking. And what are the elements you effectively need because of compliance reasons or whatever? And what are the elements which are actually not that important but are part of your structure?
Mhm. Yeah, well, it's exactly that. It's what you just mentioned, right? Often the scope is about what are we doing today and how can we do this more efficiently, right? In a more
Mhm.
efficient way. Now, there is a limit to efficiency gains. I mean, you can try to do things faster and more efficient and so on and so on. But one day you will bump into the limit of your efficiency gains. It's as simple as that, right? Um, and this is why at a given moment you will no longer see the added value of your digitalization because you're not transforming. You're just trying to get efficiency gains out of what you are doing. What you should do at the beginning of your transformation, and this is also why digital transformation is an ongoing process, it basically never stops, is look at where you want to be, not today, tomorrow, but even better, the day after tomorrow. And will you be able to completely define that? No, obviously not. And why not? Because we are in a disruptive world that changes so fast that by the time you have reached the objective for the end of the year, the world around you has already completely changed, and your objective has maybe even have become obsolete. Right? That's the speed at which we are changing today. And then I'm not just talking about technology. I'm also talking about the markets, about the consumer. Let's not forget, people often would tell me, Tom, we're in the B2B business. In the B2B world, it doesn't change that fast. Really? I don't
Really?
believe so. I don't believe so. I mean, um, if you just take the B2C market, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, a couple of years ago, we got the first well, a couple of years ago, meanwhile, 10 years ago, we got the first real online retailers, not just bookstores online or record stores online, but people that would offer a complete retailing catalog from A to Z, right? Well, those people were so successful because they had a seamless customer experience. You could go to Amazon.com or to Zalando.de or whatever
Mm-hmm.
and order your pair of shoes or your new kitchenette or whatever in a few simple clicks with one single credit card. And the next day it would be delivered at your doorstep. Today, B2B customers expect exactly the same experience. They want a seamless integration, they want a seamless process. They will not accept the fact that you tell them that, okay, within 14 days you will send a login, and then 1 week later a consultant will contact them, and then within a month or so they will be able to do a first test on your platform. Forget it. That's not how it works. So what I want to say by this is the expectations that your customer has in the B2C
Mm-hmm.
level, right, now also exist in the B2B level. So also in the B2B market, this rapid change is there. And that rapid change, again, is not just about technology, it's about how markets evolve and how customers evolve and how our entire ecosystem evolve, right? And this is also why, again, digital transformation is not just about the digital, it's not just about the technology, it's about the transformation. And if your objectives are not the right objectives, you will never get there. If the goal of your journey has not been fixed, you will never get there. But on the other hand, you have to fix your goal. But the way to get there has to be flexible. And that is because of the change, because it changes all the time. Because by the time that you have implemented your new code to cash system, the finance team will come and see you and tell you, hey Tom, this is no longer what we need. Hey Rahim, the thing you implemented, this is no longer how we work. Or by the way, we made a mistake and we thought it was going to be that way, but now it turns out to be that way. Or law has changed, or for compliance reasons, we now need to implement this or that, right? So you have to make sure that the way you are working is agile enough to get there. Right.
Well, you're touching something actually quite interesting. On one hand, we're talking digital transformation, digital, all fine. The messaging, because defining your transformative goal and objectives for an organization, for me, is the starting point of any digitalization. People need to understand, why are you doing this? In the recent surveys, and even recent anymore, I think it was at the end of last year, we could see, I think it was a McKinsey or a Gartner study, doesn't matter, one of those, you can look it up, that digital transformation, data stories, data on itself are the top priorities of most executives in the Fortune X. So they did that investigation. They said 96% of those executives said, this is really a hot priority for us because this is the future for our organization. The second question was asked, how much time do you as executives spend on digital transformation? 94% of all those executives said, I don't have time to spend on this digital transformation. I don't have a clue, actually, to be honest, what it actually entails. We have it on the agenda. Our IT department is working on digital transformation. We get our statistics. We know where we want to go, but I don't have time to get involved in that, and I actually don't know what it actually means. So the question then is, how can you executive and as a leadership team build the right story to your business to ensure that a digital transformation actually is driven by the organization and not just by an IT team?
Yeah, that is a very good remark, because if it is purely driven by the IT team, you will never get there. You will never get it. You need the IT team, and actually the team who is driving your digital transformation should be multifunctional, right? That is the ideal situation. But if you have it purely driven by IT, it's going to be an IT project, and for all kinds of reasons, it will not be supported by a large part of your organization, right? So digital transformation is basically top down and company wide, which means it needs to have the support of your C-level or your executive management within your company, right? But it needs to be accepted and understood by a large part of your organization. So yes, communication is key, but it is more than communication, because there we come again into the idea of the consumer who has entered the B2B era. Your employee, your user, does no longer accept that you will one way communicate about what you are doing. No, there has to be a conversation. I want to understand why you did this. I want to discuss with you about this. Hey, do we have somewhere a chat where I can discuss with you about this? Or do you have a forum where I can ask you questions? That's what I'm talking about. And this is why involving your users or your employees or your customers, if you want to call them that way, because in a certain way they are your customers, is so important. And over the last couple of digital transformations I have been leading, I basically came up with this idea of you probably heard of everybody has heard nowadays of the concept CSM, customer success management, right?
Mhm.
And I had the chance when I spent time in Redwood City in Silicon Valley to talk with people like Nick Mehta or Dan Steinman, who are almost the godfathers of customer success management. Uh, One of them is, by the way, today CEO of Gainsight, one of the major CSM
Mhm.
platform providers in the world. Um, and through discussing with those people and the likes of Dan Steinman, I came up with this idea, which we called user success management. So not customer success management, but user success management, where customer success management in the end is, okay, I'm going to take so well care of my customer that he or she will use my platform in such a successful way that the next renewal becomes a no-brainer. That's basically what customer success is.
Mhm.
Well, we want to do the same thing. We want to um, we want to really onboard and accompany our users in such a way that using the new platforms and the new processes becomes a natural behavior. That people do no longer think about it. That there is no longer a resistance within a large part of your organization.
Mhm.
And this is what we call user success management. And we actually approach it exactly the same way as customer success management, which means you onboard your users, you take care of them, you inform them, and you keep them, you keep a dialogue open with them, and that way they will follow you on your journey, and that way you will be able to explain them why you are doing it, where we are going to, and they will see the benefits of it, right? And as long as you can do that, you will both the organization and the people
Mhm.
will be winners. But it is very important that you see this as a continuous, ongoing process, where in the end the
Mhm.
objective is um, this new way of working needs to become a natural part of your behavior. And this is where we brought in this concept of user success management. And I have to say, it works pretty well. And by the way, if you wish, you can use exactly the same tools as the ones you use for your customer success management.
Okay,
So
let me tap into that one because a lot of companies don't have a customer success management. Let's say user success management, just to push it a bit in. No, I like the concept of having user success management. We're both customer experience guys, and then those roles, yeah, a lot of times in the past. User success management is a great way to build your dynamic within the organization, but user success management is also a bit of a mindset of the organization. So
mhm,
if you look at digital transformation, for me, digital transformation is also a mindset you achieve within the organization. We touched on, for instance, the example I gave just now around the finance department, giving you all those Excels with all the numbers and statistics, whatever they're gathering, to analyze, to report, et cetera, et cetera. Um, Different types of teams, and I'm not going to generalize if it's just purely a finance team, but it could be multiple teams within an organization. You generally see that they don't see themselves as delivering a service to their clients. E.g., they don't see their colleagues, finance versus sales, operations versus whatever within the organization, see themselves as colleagues and see themselves as they see themselves as a let's say they have a function. They do something in function of the business, but not in function to serve others in the business. It's a different mindset. If you look at that digital mindset, and I want to touch a bit further on this topic also later, but if you look at the digital mindset which is needed across the organization, how do you get the digital mindset? Because user success management is great. That's the onboarding, making sure that they're happy with the solution, making sure that the functions are delivered in a way they can absorb and use it. But then it comes to part of the mindset.
well, I'm not so much convinced if you really need a digital mindset. I think the most important part is that you have a transformational mindset, right? Can you get your
Mhm.
organization to the point where they will accept that your transformation, in this case digital, is
Mhm.
a continuous process, right? That it is a continuous process
Mhm.
that basically will never stop. You don't want to tell anyone that you're starting a process that is never going to stop. Because a lot of people say, okay, then I'm not into it. If it never stops, okay, no. I'm not going down this rabbit hole. I don't want to do this rat race. I'm
This
not
is a
doing that.
challenging budget discussion,
Yeah, but the thing is, and then and it brings you back to the point where you brought in, which you brought into the discussion a moment ago. It's not thinking about today; it's about thinking about tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. And just to cite a person which you might know, Peter Hinsen. Peter Hinsen is a pretty famous technical visionary in Europe, and he wrote this book, The Day After Tomorrow, right, where he explains how people in an organization, of course executives, but basically everyone in the organization should also be thinking about tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. And he applies this 70-20-10 rule, meaning 70% of your time you're working on today, 20% of your time you're working on tomorrow, and 10% of your time you're working on the day after tomorrow, right? Which is a very nice concept. And if you are able to do that, that is going to be so beneficial to your organization, and it will bring in so many ideas into your organization, and you will be constantly improving everything within your organization to get to those 10% you have been thinking about, and get ready for the day after tomorrow. Now he tells this little anecdote about how he was giving a keynote somewhere in Asia. I don't remember exactly where. And he gave this keynote about the day after tomorrow, 7-20-10, blah blah blah. And after the keynote, it was pre-COVID, so he could just walk into the room and talk to the participants of the keynote. And one of the Asian managers walks up to him and he said, "Mr. Hinsen, I really appreciated your speech and your 70-20-10 rule, but I have to tell you one thing. As a manager, and pardon my French, 99% of my time goes to shuffling the shit of yesterday, and 1% goes to today. I don't have time for the day after tomorrow." And that is the point where you come to what you call the mindset. You have to change that mindset. Yeah, of course, it is important that you deal with problems of yesterday and today, but it is very important that you keep your eye on the horizon. And that has to be done basically in every part of the layer of the organization. And that means that as an organization, you also have to allow your collaborators, your employees, if you want to call them that way, to come up with ideas. And I invite you to take a look at a nice case study, which is which has been done on Decathlon. You probably know Decathlon, the French sports outlets. I think they are the biggest in the world. They have, I believe, over 100,000 employees worldwide, and they were not exactly known as the most innovative company on earth, right? And about 5 years ago, they completely changed their vision on how to do that, and they came up with a concept which they call confiance d'abord, which in English would mean something like put trust first. So before anything else comes trust. You trust your employees, you trust what people are doing, you trust that they are professional. And they completely changed that. And it turned Decathlon really into a very innovative company, and that has been able to react very agile, both on worldwide influences like the pandemic, but also on local influences like local economical crises or things like that. And this is such a nice example of how the mindset, which is a transformational mindset, in this case supported by digital platforms, is the most important thing. But before you can get there, it's all about trust. If you do not trust your employees, if the employee does not come first, it's going to be very difficult, because then again, it's just going to be a bottom down, a bottom down
a top down, sorry.
Decision. Sorry, a top down.
Doesn't matter.
Thank you for being attentive. A top down decision that is imposed upon people. You did not convince them. You did not create a large gathering in your organization that will support your transformation. You have to convince not just not just convince their minds, but also conquer their hearts. And that is the mindset I believe you should go to as an organization. And this is where people will start thinking with you, and where they will come up with ideas, and where they will help you to keep your eye on the horizon, and where they will have this vision of like, hey, we can improve things here, or what about this idea, or shouldn't we do that? And of course, 100 ideas will come up, and probably 98 of them will just go down the litter, but 2 of them will remain. And you mean it might just
But
be.
I think to complement that, I love to stimulate corporate entrepreneurship. I've been looking it up. It's actually not even a word, corporate entrepreneurship, but I like that entrepreneurship, entrepreneur, because you cannot run your company by yourself, and you hire people for a purpose. You hire people to be that creative, to be so innovative. And also, you hire people to improve what they do on a daily basis. So when you get to that point within your organization that you have that trust, you create that vibe of, let's say, one of my friends, Paco Brizeno. He's an innovative coach, innovation coach, abundance thinking. He says the moment you get people thinking in abundance, although you do not use all those ideas, you build up a momentum within your organizations to actually keep progressing forward. And with that comes trust, but with that comes also the opportunity to get those ideas in. As business leader, you are there to, from my perspective, to give people the empowerment to do better every single day, not to tell them what to do every day. Of course, things need to get done. So when you're talking to me and I'm hearing the story, 99% of the time I'm busy fixing what came in yesterday, then the thought is going to be, okay, but why are you fixing what came in yesterday?
Yeah, that is how Kodak died.
That's how Kodak died.
Sorry, but it's maybe a hard example, but it's harsh reality. No, I fully agree. But then you mentioned empowerment, but empowerment will only work if there is trust. I will empower you if I trust that you will do everything you can to reach our objective. That's when I will empower you. And that's when I will allow you to make mistakes. Because if I do not allow you to make mistakes, then I should not empower you. But I trust you that you will correct your mistakes and that you will learn from them.
Yeah, but this is a chicken and the egg story, yeah?
I don't know. It's here. There is a very clear start, and I think the Decathlon story is a nice example of how it shouldn't be a chicken and the egg story, where you can really say, okay, here is the chicken, and the chicken is called trust. And can you imagine in such an organization, 100,000 plus people? You know, one of the very very innovative things they did was, and you will say, yeah, I've heard that before, but was that at a given moment they just decided that they would no longer let the management decide what your annual raise would be. They said, like, okay, you, Rahim, you can tell us what your raise should be this year, and you just explain us why you think you should have this raise, right? Now you could say, yeah, I've heard of other organizations before where people had the right to say how much money they wanted to earn, but they did it without a limit. Can you imagine that? 100,000 plus employees, and they were telling their employees, you just tell us what you want to earn next year. And they had a very open conversation on that. And of course, at the level of the executive level, when the idea was first brought up, that caused a real row. I mean, people were saying, "Are you insane? This is going to cost us a fortune." Well, it turned out that all in all, it was pretty much okay. In the beginning, employees were like, "Is he joking? Does he really want me to say what I want to earn?" Right? But they had this open conversation about it. I have to say, the next year they did put a limit on it. They did put a limit on it, but nevertheless they kept the system. So, and this, do you know what this means to your organization? How much you tell them that you trust them. I trust them
Yeah.
that you will use our money for good purposes. And if you
Yeah,
give
but you
yourself a
think,
raise, that it is justified.
yeah, you create a reverse commitment, basically.
Yes,
That's what
exactly.
you do. Reverse committed,
Exactly.
reverse accountability on all levels. If you want to
Yeah.
have more money, tell us what you will do for it. Tell us how you're going to make it real, what you have done
Yeah.
for it, and it's a different perspective. I think that
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
reverse goal setting or
Yeah.
periodic evaluation is a
Hmm.
really great way to get on the table what's really happening within your organization.
Yeah. I agree. And but the thing is, what you then often see is when you probably have the same experience. But when you come up with this transformational idea or the disruptive idea, and you bring it up first, and well, the board or the executive committee is a bit, there's a bit of resistance. They're resilient, and they don't really know if they want to accept it. But in the end, they decide, yeah, it's probably good for our image, and it will give us a lot of PR, and yeah, let's do it. And so they let you do this idea, they empower you. But
Hmm.
when the first mistake comes in, the first thing they do is, okay, we go back to control. We go back to manage and control.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not what you should do. That's not what you should do. That's how you kill the mindset we were talking about
I
a moment
agree.
ago. That's how you will kill creativity, how you will kill creativity, how you will kill the transformation of your organization. Just to quote John Cleese, the best way to kill creativity is the fear of making a mistake. If you want to kill all
Yeah,
creativity in your organization, you impose the fear of mistake. If you make a mistake, you get fired. If you make a mistake,
yeah.
you will not get the promotion. You will not get the raise. No, it should be the other way around. If you have made mistakes, it means that you have been doing things, that you have been trying things out, right? So that's good. That's good.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, nice, 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 nice. Hey, Tom, we're running a bit out of time for our podcast. I think we're touching some really cool topics around the transformation. Um, if people want to connect with you, because I think you have a great view on digital transformation, a really good view on digital transformation. We've been working for years, so I'm a real sponsor and promoter of Tom. I really like what the guy does. I'm also a guy who does
Thank
a
you.
lot of transformations, and but I still learn a lot from him. We speak once a month, joke around a little bit, and brainstorm. Um, if people who are listening in the audience would like to have a discussion with you or want to talk to you about what you can do for them, how do they contact you?
The easiest way is to get back to me through LinkedIn or through Twitter, Tom Carnewal. That's as easy as that. Or you go to my website, cornwallconsult.com, where you find all the contact details, telephone number, email, whatever. And I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'm not too much of an email person, so I'm not going to give you my email address. LinkedIn, Twitter, website, carnwallconsult.com, and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, so just for your information, if I send Tom an email, it takes about 6 months before a response. It's somewhere in his email box. Of course, I'm not the most important person of his life. In his life, he loves me, but I'm not the most important person in his life. So don't send
I,
him an email.
I think you're exaggerating. I usually get back to you prior to the next meeting. So,
That's true.
no, but I'm guilty. I am not an email person. I don't get lifted by my inbox, but chat, um, website, telephone, it all works.
It always works. Cool. Hey Tom, thank you very much for doing this session with us. It was really really cool. I'm going to ask you to come back because I think we have a lot of stuff to discuss and to share with other people. So you'll receive an invite from me later this year. And again, people, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have questions, of course, you can contact Tom. You can contact myself, and I can bring you into contact with Tom to help you guys out. I'm going to wish you guys all a lovely day or a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Have a good night's sleep. Have a great day, and Tom, again, thank you so much for joining us in My Two Cents.
Thanks for having me, Rahim, and good luck with the podcast. Bye.
Bye.